morning, everyone. Good morning. We are gonna start. Welcome to my lecture. Well, today I am going to talk about Chinese festivals. Usually in our daily life, we are all looking forward to the festivals because usually that is so cheerful. We got together. I mean, the family got reunion. Also, sometimes we gonna a big party, a big meal for that. And sometimes there will be some special activities like some parade on the street and so on. So sometimes we all like it. At the very beginning, before I go into the details, I want to ask one question. So, which is the most important festival in your country in Brazil? Which one is? Is that New Year's Day, Christmas, or Carnival?
I guess carnival for sure.
Carnival. Okay. Okay. So, I also want to ask another question. That is, do you all take part in Carnival every year? You all join for that, or you went on the street to watch or to watch the parade on the street, or or you play some games, or do you like cosplay there? I see the cosplay there. I see many people, they dress gorgeously on that day. Uh, so what about you?
Have
What about
some
everyone here?
we have some
Uh-huh.
answers on chat. We also like San João. Do you know it?
Uh-huh.
We love
Uh-huh.
San João.
Is,
And
is
we
that a kind of dance or?
San João it's a party, it's a traditional
Uh-huh.
party that
Uh-huh.
occurs on June, July,
Uh,
sometimes in August that
uh,
we take part with traditional clothes and a lot of
uh-huh.
delicious food. Festa Junina
Ah,
também. It's another name.
great,
Can
great. So,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And
When
here
that usually is?
we don't have a set date. We don't have a straight
Uh-huh.
date. It can occur
Uh-huh.
a lot of times during June, July, or August. It's like
Okay, so
everybody want to do a party, and we can have
uh-huh.
a little, literally, a lot of parties with that team in this three
Uh-huh.
months.
Okay. So it means that in one year, perhaps you're gonna have so many carnivals, right? So many times, or just one time.
Carnival one time, but Festa Junina,
Uh-huh.
São João a lot of times.
Ah, I see that. I see that. Well, that is really good. That is great. So also, we are talking about Chinese culture. So I want to ask one question. Do you all know that which festival is the most important festival in China? Have you heard of that? So if anyone here who has taken part in some Chinese course, I believe that the Chinese teacher will introduce something about the Chinese culture. I mean, I know that carnival is really very important in your country. And so what about in China? Have you heard of that?
Chinese New Year.
Jessica. Yes. Jessica, you have mentioned Chinese New Year. Uh-huh. Chinese New Year. Yes, you're all right. Well, Chinese New Year, that is really important, especially to Chinese people. However, this New Year is a little bit different from the meaning of New Year in your country, because usually for you, January the 1st is the New Year's Day, right? But for us, the traditional Chinese New Year is according to the lunar calendar. So usually it is of the different date, I mean on solar calendar to our account. So of course, that is a little bit different each year. And here, I just want to introduce something about what we do and what happened on that day that is about Chinese New Year, but it is actually Chinese traditional New Year, not for January the 1st. Okay. So now I gonna share my PPT here. Okay. Okay. So here, today I want to talk about Chinese festivals, and uh, I am going to talk about it in three parts. First one, I gonna introduce major traditional festivals. Second one, I want to talk about ethnic minority festivals. Since from the previous lecture, you know that I have already introduced we have 56 minorities in China. So for each minority, we have a different festival to them. And then I am going to talk about public holidays and traditional festivals. Okay, so I just want to come to the first part about Chinese traditional festival. At the very beginning, I just want to give you a list. Well, on this list, there are so many traditional festivals, but these ones are actually the most important ones. And the most important of all the importance, I hope you understand. I mean, the most important of all the important traditional festivals is we call it the New Year's Day, or we call it a Spring Festival. Spring Festival in China. We call it in this way. And also, it is actually China's traditional New Year, Spring Festival. And Lantern Festival, Qingming Festival. This is in chronological order, according to the time sequence. So after Spring Festival, then we gonna have Lantern Festival and a Qingming Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, Double Seventh Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, and Double Ninth Festival. So here, I just want to come to explain to you one by one, okay? The first one, that is the most important one, it is the Spring Festival. So for this Spring Festival, I gonna offer some pictures for you. I don't know whether you can see that clearly or not on my screen. Can you see that clearly? The first one, that is the family reunion sometimes. So this
Professor,
one, we call it sorry?
could you share a presentation where you can see the PPT, not the presentation?
You can't see that?
Yeah, but in presentation
It is,
mode. It's not in
oh,
presentation mode.
it is shown on my computer there. It has already been shared. I feel sorry about it. Then I need to just end it and then to share that again, please.
In presentation mode, if you need help.
I need to see. You can see that here.
Yes, but you can, we
Can see
can
that
do
here.
it. Yes, we can see the
Ah,
comments and
okay.
the PPT.
Okay. So thank you. And now I just want to talk about, I am talking about Spring Festival. And at the very beginning, I just want to say that if you want to know Chinese culture, then you shall have to know something about a Spring Festival. Spring is festival. It is what we call it. I mean, the way it is what we call it, but actually it is a Chinese traditional New Year. Chinese traditional New Year. So we celebrate that according to the lunar calendar. So I offered four pictures here. And can you guess, can you see the picture here? The first one, that is family reunion. So it is usually what happened on that day. Usually on Spring Festival, the family will get reunion. So in China, seems like a little bit strange to somebody. You know what? On Spring Festival, usually all the people, no matter how far you are from your home, then you have to go back. I mean, it is not a have to, but usually the people choose to go back, and then the families are going to get reunion on that day. So it's a family reunion day, Spring Festival. It is really very important for us, for the traditional Chinese people. And also here, nowadays, it seems like things change a little bit. Things changed a little bit nowadays. Some young people, they don't choose to go home anymore. You know what is the reason for that? I mean, uh, I mean, the singles. You understand what I mean? The single young people, the young men, the youth, they choose not to go home. And then here it seems like a little bit contradictory. You know what is, I mean, the contradictory, you know? On one aspect, I say that we are gonna have a family reunion. On the other aspect, I mentioned nowadays, I mean, a little part of young people, they choose not to go home on that day, especially those single youth, single young people. Yes, Marina, you are right. Yes. Okay. Uh, so so Marina, Marina, you are right. It is a day for the family reunion. However, nowadays, some young people, they choose not to go home. You know why is that? I mean, some parents, especially the traditional parents, the parents of the senior citizens in China, they have a tradition that usually when it is Spring Festival, they gonna urge their children to get a girlfriend or boyfriend. They gonna say, "Oh, it's time for you to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It's time for you to get married." So sometimes the young people, they're a little bit afraid of that. And usually on that day, the parents will arrange some blind dates for the young people. So sometimes they're a little bit afraid of that. So I don't know. What about the parents? What will the parents do in your country? But anyhow, in China, usually the senior citizens, the old people, they merge their their children, to get married. So sometimes they are a little, yes, Gabriel, you are right. Some parents will mention that they gonna say, you cannot stay at home all the time. You need to go out, or else how can you meet the other people? How can you meet the other ones? So they gotta say that. Mm. Uh, yes, Renan, you are right. Young people nowadays somewhat scared of reunion with their families. Some of them. I mean, some parents, they're open-minded. So they don't mind about their children of singles. But some parents, they are really, I mean, for them, they keep a traditional thinking. So usually they want to urge their children to get married. Uh, so that is one of the reasons I want to mention. Oh, so actually in Brazil, I mean, you don't have this pressure, right? Mm. Okay, I see that. Ah, okay, I see all your opinions. So nowadays, when you come to China, if that is 10 years ago, then you can see that usually the people will go home to get a family reunion. However, nowadays, in some big cities, you will see that the young people sometimes before the Spring Festival, they got some irritated face. They gonna say, "Oh, I have to go home. My parents ask me to go home. However, I really cannot stand for their urging to get married." So that is the new tendency in China. Okay. So that is the first point I want to mention. The second point, you know what is that? The second picture. Can you see that clearly? So it is actually, we call it in English, lucky money. I don't know whether you have this kind of thing in your culture or not, but sometimes we also call it the red package. Red package. So usually on Spring Festival, the older generation will have so many red packages, and then they gonna give it to the younger generation. The younger generation. So how much money are there in the red package? And then it depends on like your financial situation. No matter that it's a big package or not, it is your blessing. So that is what we want to mention. And then by this way, we call it lucky money. You know, when I was a child, I'm looking forward to the Spring Festival. One reason is we have new clothes. We have a lot of delicious food. Also, another reason is we have the lucky money. And then I got some pocket money as a child, so I can buy what I like. So that is second thing I want to mention. But you still remember in a previous class, I have mentioned nowadays, not so many people are going to use cash. But in some parts of China, especially on Spring Festival, they gonna cash into the red packet. And then they gonna send it to the younger generation to bless them. So this is the occasion that they are gonna use cash, one of the occasions. And nowadays, we all use cell phone to pay, right? So, in China, people gonna use WeChat. People gonna use WeChat a lot. And then on WeChat, there is a special function that is to send red package to the people you love. So usually on Spring Festival, we are gonna send the lucky money to your beloved ones. Like sometimes I may give my daughter, sometimes I may give my nephews, my niece, and so on. Anyhow, the older generation will give the younger generation this lucky money. But when you're old enough, like you work and you are adult, then we are not going to do that. Okay. And the third picture, you have seen that also many people some of you have already mentioned in the previous part on your chatting board that is about firecrackers. Firecracker. So later on, I gonna talk about it once more about the firecrackers. Okay. So on Spring Festival, usually we have a lot of firecrackers. That is one of the one of the ceremonies. We have to do that. We have to do that. Ah, Gabriel, you mentioned that's cool. I thought you would use gift cards instead of WeChat as well. Not actually. So gift cards at the very beginning, like 30 years ago, when I was young, we do that. However, nowadays we don't do that. We don't do that. We now it is renewed. We are gonna use the modern way to solve the problem. Okay. And the fourth speaker, I just want to mention this one once more. That is family reunion dinner. This one is the most important one because we call it reunion dinner. And for this dinner, we have to, big family, they got gather together and then to have a supper dinner. You understand this word supper? So this one, it seems like a little bit special. It is a little bit different from what you do in your country. Like in China, in Chinese culture, when we are gonna treat ourselves a supper meal, then we gonna prepare a lot of dishes and we put all the dishes on the table at one time. We don't have so many steps. Like you are doing in this way. First, you gotta have some starters, the appetizers, and then you got some like the main dish. And then to do that in this way. In Brazil, there's something that is done on birthdays and sometimes at Christmas. Things like new clothes and gifts. Well, this is an on Spring Festival in China. So here, that is about reunion dinner. It is also important part that we want to mention. Okay, so I offered some pictures because I want to introduce something to you at the very beginning. And now I gonna introduce this Spring Festival in details. Okay, so Spring Festival also we call it the Chinese New Year. So this is the Chinese New Year. And I'm sorry, I need to answer one question. Now it is I like that in Brazil and in many other countries, people usually wear white clothes, and in China, it's mostly red. Oh, yes. Everyone, Alice has mentioned one thing that is also very important because in the other countries, sometimes you gonna wear white. However, in China, when that is a celebrating day, and then usually we gonna wear red, especially on Spring Festival. That is the most important day for us. So usually the parents will ask you to wear something red. Like you can wear red socks, red underwears, and like your coat, it is a red and so on. So anyhow, you better read something red. It is really important for us, for the Chinese people. Okay. So, you know, now we gonna come back. So Spring Festival, it is also called Chinese New Year. It falls on the first day of the first lunar month. But here, I just want to draw your attention to this expression. It is the first lunar month, not what you mentioned on solar calendar, January the 1st. But which is the first day? It is usually different. Sometimes it is in January. Sometimes it is in February. So it is. It depends on the lunar calendar, which day that is. The first day of the first lunar month. Okay. Family members usually gather together and with 7th day of holiday. So usually on Spring Festival, we gonna have 7-day holiday because we all value this one. So we gonna have 7 days holiday. And I want to mention how it becomes, how it comes into being. How it comes into being. So it depends on a legend. In the legend, it is a small village. So in that small village, one day there came one monster. And the monster, we call it a Nian in Chinese language. So Nian is so ferocious. And usually Nian devoured so many villagers, so many people. And how can they solve the problem? One day, one beggar came here to beg for something for eating. And the villagers, they are really kind-hearted. They just gave their limited food to the beggar. And the beggar wanted to show his own gratefulness. So the beggar said, do you need help? And then the villagers told him that, okay, you better go quick as you can, because here, nearby the village, there was a monster. And the monster devoured some people. So the beggar heard about it, and then the beggar said, I would help you to return your kindness. And then the beggar disappeared. So the villagers thought, wow, this beggar bragged himself because he said he would do something to help. However, the beggar disappeared. And then suddenly, 3 days later, the beggar came back with something in his hand. And then that is actually the cracker. So the beggar told them that, okay, now we are going to put, so please, you light a fire outside. And then when Nian came here, we put the cracker into the fire. And then the cracker gonna bomb. So boom, boom, and so on. And then Nian got so afraid that, so Nian was driven away. At the very beginning, they don't have the modern form of the crackers, so they got to use bamboo. Bamboo, when you put one bamboo into the fire, and then suddenly it got explode, bong, bong, bong. So that is the original firecracker. Then little by little, people invented the firecracker of nowadays. And then they use it to drive the monster away from them. So from then on, they lived a really good life. They live safe and happily. And then in order to memorize They just put down the rule that on that day, they will usually do that. They will light a fire and to put some firecrackers into it, symbolizing that they gonna drive the ferocious animals away from us. And it also symbolizes the good beginning of each year. So it is the legend of this spring festival. Okay. So it is a how it came into being. So that is about the legend. Okay. Gabriel mentioned that's interesting since China invented gunpowder, it became part of its culture with firecrackers. Yes. So you know what? At the very beginning, gunpowder was not used in the fighting, in the fight, in the battle. So at the very beginning, it is used in the firecrackers. And the usage of firecracker to scare away the monster is like the usage of gunpowder in the Brazilian Banda religion to drive away. Oh, okay, I see that. So nearly the same. So from this point, we also want to mention one thing that is sometimes culture has its common parts. From this sense, we share some common cultures there. Okay, so it's about origin of Spring Festival. And then here, I want to mention something else. Usually, on 8th day of the 12th lunar month, laba porridge was made. It contains all kinds of beans. So, we want to mention that Spring Festival, it is the most important festival. However, it is the first day of the first lunar month. According to the lunar calendar, 1 year is also divided into 12 months. And then, since the last month of lunar calendar, since the 8th day, the 8th day of the 12th lunar month, and then we say that the Spring Festival actually came. Also, we have another name for Spring Festival. In Chinese language, we call it 春节. 春节. So you can repeat it by yourself. And then, anyhow, you need to understand it is a 春节.
春节.
Yes, great. Wow, great. Professor Andy, you got
I,
correct pronunciation.
I'm trying. I already have a Chinese name. Do you know
Oh,
Wang Bicheng? Professor Wang Bicheng? Bicheng?
Wang Bingzhang.
Wang Bicheng.
Wang Bingzhang. Yes, yes.
He gave
We
my
are
Chinese
friends.
name here. Ai Ying.
Ai Ying.
Yes.
Great. That is a good name. Uh,
I love Chinese culture, Asian culture in
ah,
general. I want to learn a lot as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. So, also, we love Brazilian culture, and then culture have something in common. So here, we can share the opinions for each other. We can also make a comparison to see the cultural aspects of each culture. And then here, on 8th day of the 12th lunar month, laba porridge was made. So usually we say that, just now I mentioned this one Spring Festival in Chinese language, we call it 春节, right? But it still has another name that is 年. You know what? Actually, 年 is also the name of the monster. So the name of the monster, we call it 年. And then, in order to memorize, we also call 春节年. We are gonna say 过年啦,过年啦. So here, it is about Spring Festival. And usually people will say that after this day, after the 8th of the 12th lunar month, and then 年 starts. Though it is not the real Spring Festival, not the day, but somebody will mention in this way. So on the 8th day of the 12th lunar month, we actually, this is also a festival, but not so important it is an important festival, but not as important as Spring Festival, of course. And we call on that day, one special form is we gotta make a porridge. So, porridge is really common, right? You can do that every day. However, on that day, we are going to prepare for one special porridge. That is what 腊八 porridge. Because the 12th lunar month, we call it 腊月. 腊月. And that is the 8th day. The 8th day, we call it 八. So this number, we say 八 in Chinese language. So that is why we call it 腊八. And the porridge that day, we call it 腊八粥. So 腊八 porridge. The porridge is a little bit special because usually when you make a porridge, and then we just put the rice into water directly and then to boil that. However, this 腊八 porridge, in order to cook that, we need to prepare a lot of materials. So usually we got some raisin, some raisins. I mean, some dry food, like dry fruits and so on, like some beans and so on. We gonna put it into that porridge. So to boil them together, and then it got, so good. So we call it 腊八 porridge. And on the 23rd day of the 12th lunar month, sacrifices are offered to the kitchen god. Here, it seems like really interesting about the kitchen god. At the very beginning, in some old times, usually people will have one special god. We call it a kitchen god. So we gonna get a picture of kitchen god, and then we gonna put it on in the kitchen. And to say that, kitchen god, please bless us. All this year, we have something to eat. We have something good to eat. And the kitchen god will bless you. So usually at the end of the year, on 23rd of the 12th lunar calendar, people will light a fire in their yard. And then they gonna put that picture on that fire. So, the picture is burned, right? So we gonna say that the kitchen god on that day, it is a reporting day. The kitchen god has to go to the heaven to report his work all this year. And then they gonna have some sacrifices, like some fruits, some delicious food there. And when they burn the picture of the kitchen god, they gonna pray for that. They gonna say, kitchen god, when you go to the heaven, please say something good for me, for my family. And then ask the god in the heaven to bless us. So that is about the kitchen god. It's a tradition in some old times, but nowadays people don't usually do that. When I was a kid, usually in my family, we also have to buy some candy, a kind of special candy. So when we let the kitchen god picture, we gonna put the candy into the mouth of the kitchen god. We gonna say, well, the candy, it is really sweet, right? So it symbolizes that the kitchen god, when he goes to the heaven, he will say something sweet for us. So that is the symbolization. And nowadays, I don't see so many people do that. It seems like people don't do that anymore. So this is a tradition, but it is in old times. So this is what I want to mention. Okay. And also, we gotta have some decorations. Decorations are prepared before Spring Festival. So here, usually we have a lot of decorations. So what kind of decoration we are gonna prepare? At first, we have couplets. So do you know what is a couplet? Couplet in the Spring New Year, the festival. I gonna show you the picture is not here. Sorry. I like this one. You gonna see the kitchen god here. So on the two sides, did you see some red strip of paper there? So usually we call it a couplet. So sometimes we gonna write down the couplet there, and then we gonna put it on the door. So it symbolizes, it is in color red. So it symbolizes for the prosperity of the next year. prosperity of the next year. So here, that is about the decoration. That is this one. Also, we have some other decorations. Like, do you know what is paper cutting in Chinese culture? I mean, if you have learned something about Chinese culture and then you know something about the paper cutting, right? We use one paper and then we use scissors to cut it into flowers, into so many different patterns. And then before the Spring Festival, we gonna prepare that a lot. And when Spring Festival came on that day, we gonna put it on, like on the window, on the wall, and we gonna decorate our rooms. So that is the day. And also, a sumptuous family dinner. That is what I have mentioned. It's a staple family dinner on the Spring Festival. Well, here I also gonna have some further explanation to this one. You know, I wanna mention something about it. Did you see in the middle? What is that? I gonna enlarge that. Did you see that here? Fish. Yes. But here it is a little bit special because we have got two fish there. You know, usually for us on Spring Festival, especially the dinner, we have to have fish. And then, you know, sometimes we gonna prepare two. One is for eating. The other one is going to be put there. We don't eat it. We just leave it there till the next day. Because in Chinese language, yu has a similar pronunciation with surplus. You know, surplus. So it means that, okay, it symbolizes, it has a meaning that next year, because you know, after this, after Spring Festival night, and then that is the next year. So we have a one symbolization there. It symbolizes that next year we got some surplus. We got some savings. I don't know whether I'm clear about myself or not. I mean, okay, I gotta say that in another way. 鱼 has a similar pronunciation with the meaning of surplus in Chinese language. So we cook two fish there. One is for eating. The other one that is for living. I mean, we just put it there. We don't eat it. Because we want to say that, okay, next year we have some surplus. You understand what I mean? Thank you. Thank you. So that is what we are going to do nowadays. But you know, it seems like a little bit special because usually on Spring Festival, you will see that in so many families, their dinner is a little bit similar because usually they gonna prepare the fish, and they gonna prepare dumplings. Dumpling. So, if you know something about China, and then the Chinese meal, you know dumplings, right? 饺子. So we gonna prepare that, 饺子. I wanna try dumplings so bad. Okay. So, we have to prepare the dumplings in every family. But you know, China is big, so I couldn't say something. 100%. Usually, in northern part of China, people are gonna use dumpling. On important days, people are going to make dumplings, especially on Spring Festival. I mean, it is a must for every family, no exception, in northern part of China. However, here in southern part of China, people got to take some hot pot. So you know, the northern culture and the southern culture here in China, it is a little bit different. Okay. So this is a spring festival. Uh, Also, you know, another form to celebrate is Spring Festival Gala. It's like a party, but it is promoted by CCTV. CCTV is the central television for China. So usually they gonna organize one spring gala. So it is broadcasted all over China. So usually on Spring Festival evening, on Spring Festival Eve, we are going to gather together to have the family reunion to prepare for that big meal. And then all the family members, we are sitting around the table. We are eating, drinking, making dumplings while watching Spring Festival Gala on TV. So that is usually the form of a traditional Chinese New Year. And you gotta think about it in your mind. You gotta see something about it, the picture. And then on New Year's Day, everybody dresses up. So, I mean, this day that is really special. For us, usually, we are gonna have one new clothes. And then on that day, we are gonna dress up I mean, we are gonna wear some new clothes, and also just like what you have mentioned, we are going to wear the color red. Color red, okay. And lucky money was given to the children. That is a lucky money, and firecrackers were burned. So that is what we usually do on this day. Mm. And it's like we used to do in New Year's with the Shoda Vilada watching Global. Yes. Do the kids actually send the money? Spend the money? Ah, a good question, everyone. Marina, you really have a very good question. Do the kids actually spend the money? You know what? I mean, many years ago, when I was a kid, usually my parents will say, you are still very young. You don't know how to control your money. So give it to us. And then we are going to take care. We are going to save your money for you. And then you don't have the pocket money to spend. However, nowadays, we are not as poor as that of before, that of 30 years ago. So nowadays, the young children, they have the right to use their own pocket money. Even for some parents, they are going to have one bank account for their children. They are going to save, they are going to deposit the money, I mean the lucky money each year for the children. And when the children grow up a little bit, when the children know the money and know how to spend the money, the parents will give it to the children. So the children has the right to deal with his or her own money. So that is what happened nowadays. So the kids actually spend the money nowadays, but not before. When I was a child, I cannot spend that pocket money, the money in the red package. However, nowadays they have the right to do so. Sometimes, like my daughter is like, my daughter is nearly 6 years old, but still she doesn't know a lot of money. I mean, she knows that she could spend money to buy a lot of delicious things. However, she doesn't know money that clearly. But we save the money for her. I mean, one day when she is really clear about it, and then she can use her own money. So it doesn't matter. Gabriel, I like this expression that is called parents tax. Do you have such an expression? I don't I don't actually know this expression, but I like it. Parents tax. Okay. It's really good. Uh, she understands the concept but don't know how it proper. Yes, yes, you are right, Gabriel. You are right. It makes sense. Yes. Parents tax. I like the expression. Mm. Okay. So that is about the Spring Festival. That is usually what we do. But I told you that nowadays, some young people, I mean the adults, the young people who work nowadays in big cities, sometimes they are a little bit afraid of their parents urging for blind dates for their daughter-in-law or their son-in-law, so they choose not to go back home. That is also a new phenomenon. Also, sometimes in order to avoid their parents urging, even in China, I mean, there will be some exceptional case that some people they will put on one message online. They say, I want to rent a girlfriend or a boyfriend. This is in good sense. I mean, not in some bad sense, in good sense. They gotta say, like a part-time job, I pay you some money, and then you go home to pretend to be my girlfriend or boyfriend. And then my parents will not say, you have no boyfriend or you have no girlfriend, and so on. So that is, you know, it's real. It's not a false idea. Oh, Marina, you've heard about it. Wow. So that is what happened nowadays. And here, I also want to mention some further information about it. Even now, you know what? People are usually very busy. So, I mean, the young people, they are busy working. So some parents, they feel so nervous. They gotta say, are you gonna be single all your life? So you know what they do? They gonna take some pictures of their children and then just by themselves. I mean, the old people, they will go to the park and then they gonna use the umbrella or something. They gonna put one piece of paper on the umbrella. The other ones can all see that on that piece of paper, they gonna write, my daughter. And then like she graduated at, she was born in, no, some age. And then something about the personal information, not some private information, but just like the natural conditions. And she worked as like a content and so on. And salary, like something about it. And she wants to look for the boy like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So they gotta do something like that. Can you imagine? I mean, it's true. In many cities, there is such a corner. Sometimes in some parks, perhaps on Saturday or Sunday, you will see that. So, uh, I don't know whether you have such a form in your country, in your culture, or not. But anyhow, this is some picture in China nowadays about nervous parents. Okay. So that is about Spring Festival. That is also what I want to mention. And after that, after the Spring Festival, usually we gonna celebrate that for 7 days. Just now I mentioned 7 days. So the people will get 7 days holiday. And after that, the traditional Spring Festival is the first day of the lunar calendar of the first month, right? And the 5th day of the first lunar month, we also name it as a festival. So it means 15 days later, 15 days after the Spring Festival, we have another festival. We call it Lantern Festival. So Lantern Festival, from the name, from the picture, did you see the picture here? On this day, usually people have so many different forms of lanterns. So they gotta put it here, gotta put it there. Usually in everybody's home, there will be some lanterns there. So before, when I was a child, like 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, usually the children, they will have their own lantern in their hand, and then we use a candle into that. However, nowadays, with the development of technology, people began to use electrical lanterns. Also, it is celebrated on 15th day of the first lunar month with a grand display of beautiful lanterns. So the lanterns will be in so many different forms. Like sometimes it is in the form of animal. Sometimes it is in the form of flower. So many different forms according to your own imagination. Sometimes it is even in the form of a person. And then inside it, there will be a light bulb. Nowadays, in the old times, people will use like the candle in that. And then usually on this day, we are gonna play a game that is called riddle game. So usually the lanterns are there, and then under the lantern, and there will be some riddles. So you can guess the answer. If you are correct, then you can take that lantern away. That is your gift. That is your prize for your clever. So that is what we are going to do for Lantern Festival. Also, on Lantern Festival, we gonna have a lot of crackers. Also firecrackers. So this is a way to celebrate Lantern Festival. And usually on this day, we gonna eat one of the special food there. So till now, though that is the second important festival, but you will discover one thing. Usually the Chinese traditional festivals are usually closely connected with one special food, right? So we call it 元宵. Here, the expression is here, 元宵 or 汤圆. It's a kind of rice dumpling, but it is in glutinous rice. Also, here, I will ask one question. Like just now, I mentioned on Spring Festival, we gonna make some dumplings. On Lantern Festival, we gonna make this kind of rice dumpling. And what about your culture? Since you have mentioned, Carnival is the most important festival. And do you have something special to prepare? I mean, the food. Not on Carnival. So, Marina, you mean on Carnival, people just celebrate? I mean, you have the parade on the street, right? See, a lot of huh, kind of just for drinking, dressing. Okay. Gabriel, what do you mean for weird stuff?
It depends on the place and what the people want to do and the amount of alcohol they drink.
Uh-huh. Yes, they drink alcohol. So what about the weird stuff?
Yeah, it depends on the
Uh-huh.
on how much alcohol the person drinks.
So you mean if they got drunk and then they gotta do
Yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see that.
I
Uh-huh.
know there is a cultural thing on Carnival chamado
Uh-huh.
called bate-bola. It's some people dress up as clowns and try to scare
Uh-huh.
kids and people. Like, yeah,
Ah.
they throw balls at the people.
Uh-huh. So are the kids a little bit afraid of that, or they feel excited towards that?
I don't know. I'm pretty scared of clowns of myself.
Oh, you're scared of that. Okay. So actually, for Chinese traditional festivals, usually the festivals are closely connected with one special food and some special rituals, some special things there. So that is according to the lunar calendar. I mean, the Lantern Festival. Also, according to what you say just now, it seems like though Carnival is the most important festival in your culture, however, Carnival is a little bit different from the Spring Festival in China, right? Yes, of course, we are different. We are of different cultures, but it seems like the form it is also a little bit different. I have seen the video of the carnival. people dress gorgeously. They got you have got your hat and then with very I don't know what is that? The feathers? The feathers. There and the the queen seems like. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. I see that. Mm. Yes. Yes. Professor Andy has already mentioned something about it. Mm.
I sent
So
a
this
picture on chat.
ah, okay. So everybody can see that the picture is here. Oh, wow. If I were a kid, I would be so scared of that. Okay. Okay. I see that. Mm. Okay. So that is about the Lantern Festival. And if you are clever enough, you got a lot of presents on that day, a lot of awards on that day. And so that is about this one. And here, after that, we come to Qingming Festival. You know, Qingming Festival, that is a day for mourning the dead. So sometimes we don't call it a real festival. We say that it's a lunar is equivalent to okay. So Qingming Festival. Usually it falls on 4th to 6th April each year. But here we don't usually call it a festival because that is a day for mourning the dead people. So on that day, usually we went to the graveyard to memorize, to worship the dead people. And then here it seems like a little bit special because sometimes we call it Qingming Day. Qingming Day. Mm. So usually on this day, on Qingming Day, sometimes you don't say, when it is a festival, you gotta say happy festival, right? Like you say Merry Christmas, wish you a happy carnival, and so on. You can say a happy new year, but usually on Qingming Day, you are not going to say, I wish you a happy Qingming Day, because that is for memorizing, for worshiping the dead people. You understand what I mean? So if you say happy Qingming to somebody, perhaps it means that you want him to die. Uh, so you I don't know whether you understand me or not, okay? Uh And for somebody, they don't know Chinese culture so well, so deep, and then they think, "Oh, this is a festival." Then I need to say to my Chinese friends, I gotta say that, "Oh, Happy Qingming Festival." It is not actually like a festival for celebrating. It's a holiday for memorizing the old people to mourning the old people, the dead people. Sorry. So of course now if you say, "Oh, Happy Qingming Festival," it means to Chinese you're gonna die. So when you are in China and pay special attention to this day, I mean you're kind enough, you're generous enough to say a happy festival. However, this festival is really special. So sometimes we are not going to say a Qingming festival. We're gonna say Qingming Day. Uh, so pay much attention to that. Renan, to keep quiet. Yeah. Uh, yeah, perhaps. Okay. Mm. You have a similar holiday. Di Fernando on November. Oh, I see that. Thank you, Professor Andy. The first time I heard about it. So you have a similar day in a sense.
Yeah, like it's more like old people goes to the graveyard to clean
Uh-huh.
to clean
To
their,
sweep.
yes, to sweep and give flowers to dead people and
Uh-huh.
talk. They literally sit a little and talk with their uh, with the dead people. I forgot. better name for this. And
Okay.
for example, it's like all day they do it, and like they prepare flowers, a crown of flowers to give. So it's very similar, I guess.
Yes, very similar. Also, have you got some special flower for that? In China, usually on that day, we gotta take some chrysanthemum
I know.
to the graveyard.
I don't know if we have a special flower for this, but we have a lot of flower shops around the graveyards already. So
Uh-huh.
it's a special flower circle flowers, not a one. I will try to
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
show some
Uh-huh.
pictures on chat.
Like a flower ring, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Uh, Flower ring. But and usually on this day, when people go to the graveyard, they gonna take a a bunch of flowers, but that bunch of flowers, it is usually chrysanthemum because in some traditional culture, we say chrysanthemum. On this day, that is of special purpose for them. Mm. I see. I see that. Okay. So that is a Qingming festival. And not a festival actually, but we call it Qingming Day. But anyhow, that is a traditional festival. Usually, we are gonna have one day off that day, so it is given to the Chinese people to like give them a blank day for them to go to the graveyard to mourn their ancestors and so on. But you know what happened in southern part of China? Usually in northern part of China, people will burn some paper money. This paper money is not the real money, but they are in the shape of money. However, they are false money. They are only printed on the paper. And then people gonna burn that. They gonna say, okay, when the people dead, they are in another world, and then they can use that money in that world. So it's also one way. However, in southern part of China, the radio is more, to me, that is a little bit special. They gonna go to the graveyard and then they gonna take a lot of food and drinks. So in front of the graveyard, they are gonna have a meal, but on that table, there must be one blank seat. So one seat is left there. No people will sit there because they say that is a seat left for their past ancestors. So the dead people, they can come back to have a meal together with the families. So that is their traditional ritual. Mm. That is their traditional form. Mm. Okay. Uh. Lose spell. Uh. So, that is the way to memorize the past people, the people passed away. Mm, okay. So after the festival, the temperature rises and the rainfall increases in readiness for spring plowing. So that is about a Qingming Day and a Qingming festival. And also, there is a legend. So how Qingming Day came into being. It is from one ancient figure, 介子推. So 介子推 has ever been the subject to one emperor. And then one day the emperor was driven away by his enemy. And then on the mountain, they have nothing to eat. So the emperor thought he was really cold and he was going to starve. And then as a subject, the 介子推 just cut some meat from his own body. And then Jie Zitui saved the life of the emperor. So the emperor got saved, and then little by little, step by step, later, the emperor got his own empire and also his own domain in this world. So one day, the emperor was powerful enough to be the king of that kingdom. And then he went back to search for Jie Zitui, but Jie Zitui said, I couldn't go there to serve you, my king, because I was old enough. And then Jie Zitui actually lived in a poor life. So in order to dodge, Jie Zitui just went to the mountain. And then the emperor said, no matter how poor you are, no matter what you look like nowadays, you saved my life. So now it's time to enjoy. But Jie Zitui was in the mountain. How could the emperor see Jie Zitui, this figure? So the emperor thought about one way, that is to burn the mountain. And then they thought that, okay, if I burn the mountain, and then, when Jie Zitui saw that there was a fire there, so Jie Zitui would run out of the mountain. So Jie Zitui would run to me, and then I could see my brother. I could see this figure. I could offer him good conditions because before he saved my life. The emperor thought like this. However, Jie Zitui was a really stubborn figure, strong-willed figure. So Jie Zitui saw the fire, but he didn't run out. So, he was burned, died in that way, in order to mourn him. So that day was stipulated as the festival from then on. So it is a Qingming festival. It's the origin, it's the story about Qingming festival. And then tomb sweeping is an important activity. That's what I have mentioned. Also, cold food was prepared the day before. So in the old times, on this Qingming Day, usually people will use cold food. They're not going to cook. The day before that day, people got prepared some food for that. Because, Jie Zitui was fired dead. So from then on, the emperor said, okay, be prepared on that day in order to mourn my friend Jie Zitui, and then you cannot use fire on that day. So people cannot use fire, and then they have to eat the cold food. So the tradition got have from then on. However, nowadays, we don't follow this tradition anymore. Of course, we eat hot food. I mean, we also cook on this day. So it is a little bit different from its original form. Okay. And kite flying and playing on the swing were also activities during the festival. So, one of the important one of the most important activities is kite flying. So on that day, usually we're gonna make our own kites. Of course, before people all make it by hands. However, nowadays we don't usually make it by ourselves. We buy it online on Taobao. Alibaba and so on. So we buy that, and we are going to play flying kite there. So it is an activity. Do you think it's a little bit? It's a little bit special. Fly kites. So perhaps in your opinion, that is the activity for the children, but sometimes we will do that.
I saw some incredible kites, like dragons,
Yes.
and they are so beautiful and seem so complicated to drive. And
Yes.
I tried
Yes.
once. I couldn't. We have kites in Brazil, but the simple shape, like
Yeah.
diamond. But it's so difficult to put on air. I couldn't.
What Professor Andy has mentioned just now. We have so many different shapes. The cats are in different shapes. So, like the shape of dragon, the shape of like a lot of different shapes a lot of different patterns. But sometimes it's a little bit dangerous. So you will think, why flying cat? It's not dangerous at all, right? But
We have
sometimes it really
something.
is.
We have something
Uh,
called settle. It's a kind of how can I explain it? It's the line can cut the throat of
yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's so
Uh,
difficult to explain. Settle. How can I say it? It's a
So it's kind of a cream which you put on the line, and it makes
uh-huh.
a little bit
sharpener.
easier to cut another lines, and it can cut
Ah,
people as well.
yes, yes. So one thing I also want to mention, just from their speaking, you understand that first one, you need to pay attention because usually we have some special area for flying. You have to go to that special part. You can fly kite, and because the thread, sometimes they fly really high, and then the thread gonna cut somebody, cut the people. It is really sharp sometimes. That is one thing we need to pay attention. The other thing is just now, Professor Andy has already mentioned some kites are really big enough. They are big enough to drag you into the sky. So we have the example that sometimes people thought I can fly this big cat, but the cat is too big to be controlled by himself. So usually, if you are thin enough, just pay special attention to how big your cat is, or else perhaps you are so light. I mean, you you are you are not heavy enough to control your cat. You're gonna be taken to the sky, to the air, into the air. Even somebody thought, okay, I will drag it down, but so they will not just throw their hand, lose their hand. They will not do that. However, they gonna be taken into the air. So the two dangerous things you need to pay much attention. Mm. Bakers suffer from it. Yes, I mean, in most cases, it is a happy time. It is interesting, funny activity. However, in some extreme case, it it is a little bit dangerous. So when you play kite in China, just pay a little bit special attention to that, to the occasion, to the situation you fly the kite. Okay. Mm. Wax with crushed glass. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh, Cero is some kind of a glue wax made with glass and other materials used to make the thread resistant and sharper. The problem is when the thread cuts bakers. Yes, you are all right. Yes. So the thread, like this one, sometimes if the cat is flying really high, and then it becomes so sharp. If it cuts the neck, well, oh, okay. Also, just pay much attention. Don't fly cat in the rainy day, in a cloudy day, in case of the lightning in the sky. So the activity is this one. But in most cases, that is good because when we organize the activity, the organizers will think about all the things. So if they say, okay, you can fly cat in this area, then that's usually safe. So this is what we want to mention. And another one I want to mention after that Qingming Day, it is a Dragon Boat Festival. Dragon Boat Festival. First, I want to talk with you one thing that is about the image of dragon. So, what is the image of dragon in your culture? Is that a good animal or a bad animal?
It's impressive, I I guess, because we have the Asian dragon and the
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
European dragon. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's more neutral, like said Gabriel in chat.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, I guess it's a imponent creature. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's
Okay.
more
Okay.
it's more like
Uh-huh.
respect to them, but can be
Uh-huh.
very bad sometimes,
Okay.
very bad
Okay.
or very
Uh,
good, like the
okay.
China's culture itself that has
Mm-hmm.
the both sides, yin yang, right?
Yes, yes. Yes, you are right. So you know so much about Chinese culture, Professor Andy. Uh,
I'm a
well,
fan.
actually, I see that so many of you are talking about it. You know, here we want to discuss it from different aspects. I mean, in Western culture, especially in European culture, usually the dragon is fire breathing. You know, fire breathing. So the dragon breathes fire and then it destroys something on the ground. It kills people and so on. So they leave really a bad image of the dragon. And for Chinese dragon, usually that is auspicious animal. You know, the word auspicious, it symbolizes for something good. So the Chinese dragon, usually we take it as the, you know, the god of rain, the
Yeah.
god of rain.
I
So
know
usually, oh,
I know a
sorry, please.
little
Mm,
story that
uh-huh,
a fish. I don't know
uh-huh,
the name of the fish.
uh, uh,
Traditional fish that after hundred years or thousand years
uh-huh,
it
uh-huh.
becomes a dragon.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
The
that
fish,
true.
yes.
I forgot the name of the fish.
You know, we call it a 鲤鱼, but sometimes we say that there must be a dragon door.
Mm.
So we call it a door of dragon. And then when the fish, they can jump out of water and then they can jump over that gate. So they will become the dragon. That is a legend. Uh,
Yeah.
and And about your question, Jessica, is it a good sign? Yes, in China it is. So you can imagine, we think that is a god of rain. So you can understand how important it is in China. You know, many years ago, China is like a farming country. And then for a farming society, you know, everything depends on the rain. If we are in drought and then we have no harvest, so people will be starved. And then rain is really important, especially for a good harvest. So usually when there is the drought area, so it is a dry, no rain for many days, and then people will be there. They gonna have their sacrifice, and then they say, "Oh, this dragon of rain, please rain here," and so on. So they gonna beg for the rain. That is really a very important ritual in some cultures. I mean, the traditional cultures. Of course, nowadays we don't do so because we also have that technology. I mean, to have the man-made rainfall. So that is about the dragon. Oh, Rina, you mentioned you don't have dragon exactly in Brazilian culture, right? But you have serpent culture. Creatures. You know what? In China, we also have a saying. I mean, in traditional culture, they gonna say after many years, a snake will become a serpent, and then after 1,000 years, the serpent will become like another animal near to the dragon, and then after another 1,000 year, that animal will become a dragon. So that is what they want to say. And even people will say that we are the descendants of dragon in China. So you understand how important the dragon is in Chinese culture. So we regard it as the auspicious, the good animal. Now you can imagine. They are uh okay. They're killed by Christians and stole gold. Oh, Luzbel. So that is in the movie, right? Like in Lord of the King, right? Uh, something like that. 鲤鱼. Yes, yes. Mm. So that is about the legend of it. Are there different dragons for the elements? Yeah, there will be different dragons. Also, here, I want to mention another thing about the dragon. So usually, the emperors. In the ancient times, we have emperors of the dynasties. And then for the emperors, they thought they are the real dragon in their last life. So they are the real dragons, and then only the real dragons could be the emperors. So usually on their clothes, there must be the embroider of the dragon. Embroider. It,
Yeah,
how can I explain embroider? They use needle and the colored thread
seizure,
to make some. Uh,
like
yes.
seizure knitting the dragon on the
Yes,
clothes.
knitting. Yes, yes. That is a good word. So we call it embroider. And then only the emperor can wear the robe with the dragon on that. The other ones, if they wear the clothes and they have the dragon on that, no, that is forbidden. If they do so, they would be killed because they will say, you want to overthrow this empire, this dynasty, because you want to be emperor yourself. So, the dragon, the form of dragon can only be used by the emperor in the old times. So that is also one of the most important symbols in this sense. Mm. Look, embroider. Okay. Ludmila. Yes, embroider. Perhaps I don't know. I don't know Portuguese. And lunar is equivalent to carnival plus New Year's party. I don't know that actually. Okay. So like, are they from a specific era or older than there are registers? Well, Jessica, actually, in all the dynasties, in the past time, all the dynasties in China, actually they become dragon. Even in the previous lecture, Professor Andy has had recommended to us the Mummy 3, right? Mummy 3. And
Wait,
then in Mummy 3, Qin Emperor became the dragon himself.
yeah, and really good
Uh,
movie. I sent on
mm,
chat some
uh.
references of clothes to them.
Okay,
A
great,
lot of
great.
yellow.
So, yes, yes. You know what? Even that color can only be used by the emperor.
Oh,
So, Gabriel, you mentioned, what if the clothes were stolen? If the clothes were stolen, no thief dare to steal the clothes of the emperor. If he is arrested, and then all his families, even his kinships, his relatives, will be killed. They will all be killed. So that is what happened in the past times. And this is the picture of that. Yes. Thank you, Professor Andy.
I have a
So
question.
you see the dragon there? Please.
The concubines and the queen. I don't know.
Mm,
Can use
mm.
it too? Can use the dragon or just the
No,
emperor?
no, they were not allowed. Only
Ah,
the emperor. Well, for the concubines, I mean the first one, especially the queen you mentioned, they can use phoenix.
yeah. I saw a
Uh,
lot of novels that they use a
uh,
lot of phoenix
yes, yes,
hairpins, and
yes,
only
yes.
the queen can
Uh,
use the most big one. Phoenix.
yes, the most big one, but not the same as that of the on the clothes of the emperor. Only the emperor can use that. So he has the only right to use the the image of dragon. So that is what we have mentioned here. And then uh what you mentioned, I don't know whether you have seen that the other ones. I mean, like the hairpin you have mentioned. So actually, it
I'm
is a
sending
different
the
hairpin.
pictures.
Yes, we see that. Thank you, Professor Andy. So now you can see the embroider of dragons there. Raphael, you say that dragons were common on the northern part of China, and in the south it was phoenix, but I'm not. Oh, uh, Raphael, no, not really. I mean, dragons are can only be used by the emperors, and for in southern part, usually the same because here that is a one area. So for this one, we have the same culture. Mm. Of course, if you want to say nowadays, it's different. Nowadays, because it's not some old dynasty, so it's not the emperor time. So people are allowed to use the picture of dragon. Now, if you want to use that, okay, you can use. If you want to have embroiders of dragon on your clothes, it's okay. It depends. It's up to you. Uh, so nowadays, of course, it is different. Mm,
I sent
okay.
some
Uh,
phoenix hairpins. I don't know the name of it. Sorry.
that is called 步摇.
不要?
I mean, in Chinese language, we call it 步摇. 步摇, it is used there, and even sometimes, in the Asian times, people will have their hair really high, and then
Yeah.
they are gonna comb it in different patterns, and then they are gonna decorate that on their head. So this is called 步摇 in
不
Chinese
要.
language.
Okay.
It's a little bit different. Yes. Very good pictures. They are really beautiful. They're really artistic.
Oh, I would like to have some. They are so beautiful.
Yes. But fix in place. Yes. Jessica, you are right. Okay. So this one, that is a Dragon Boat Festival. According to the Chinese traditional culture, we mentioned dragon is a good symbol in Chinese culture. So we have some boat, and then you can see from my picture that on that day, we have a boat racing activity. So usually the boat will be in the picture of or in the shape of dragon. So, in the front part, usually there is a dragon head there. In front of the boat, there is a sculpture of dragon. So people are gonna have the race there. They're going to row their boat and then to see who gonna be the first one. So still nowadays, we keep this tradition. And then on Dragon Boat Festival, people will have this activity. Usually for one village, there must be a Dragon Boat team. And then they gonna race a lot, especially in southern part. In northern part, people don't do that a lot because, in northern part, usually in April, for some parts, still it's a little bit cold in some area. So people will not do that. In southern area, for April, it gets warm a lot. So people will do that. It is about Dragon Boat Festival. Actually, it is to memorize another figure that is called Qu Yuan. So usually, we mentioned that Qu Yuan is from Chu Dynasty, and then Qu Yuan is really a very good working staff. So he always considers the people's life, the common people, and then, however, he was not liked by the emperor at the time. So Qu Yuan went to a small place, a small city, to be the governor there. However, one day the emperor said, "No, Qu Yuan, you have done something wrong," and so on. So Qu Yuan just drowned himself in the river. The river is called Miluo. And then the people there really like this official. They gotta say, "Oh, the fish in the river, please not to eat the body of Qu Yuan." And then they throw some food into the river. They say that day is a festival, and From then on, that day is fixed as a festival that is called Dragon Boat Festival. People will row their boat on the river and then they will throw into the river a lot of food, meaning that the fish, I come here to feed you, so you cannot eat the dead body of Qu Yuan. So that is its origin. And on that day, usually we are gonna make 粽子. 粽子. 粽子 is this kind of a food. We use some green leaves and then we use glutinous rice and also the dates. You know, dates are kind of fruit. Dates and sometimes the salted eggs and even the meat into this bag. And then we are going to use the thread to tie that and to put it into the pot to boil it. So that is the special food there about Dragon Boat Festival. So these are all very important festivals. Of course, we still have some other festivals, and then we are gonna discuss that the next lecture. So the next lecture, we are going to continue our discussion. You know what I've mentioned here is only about the important festivals in China. I mean, in general, but still we have some special festivals in some minorities or in some minority area, like water splashing festival, Nadam fair, torch festival. In some other ethnic groups, they have their own specialty. They have their own spring festival. So we are gonna discuss that in the next lecture. So I gotta see you next week. I hope you get familiar with some festivals about Chinese culture. I hope that. Mm. So before the end of this part, I gonna answer the questions here. The fix in a place.
I
这个
sent
是
I
for scared
sent
animals in China, right? Uh-huh.
some pictures of the four sacred animals.
Ah,
We can discuss it
not
later.
actually.
There are more?
Yes. Not very scared animals. These four ones are really special because they are in Chinese traditional culture. And then
Not
for this
scared,
culture,
sacred, like special.
sorry. Secret. Sorry, secret, like divine animals.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, in traditional sense, the world is divided into four directions. So four directions, I mean east, west, and south and north. So for each direction, we believe that there must be one animal protecting us. So this one, it is for east. It is the dragon. And then, uh,
Is where is
and
China?
then for
Yeah.
yes. And then for west, we have this tiger. And then in south, we have this phoenix. And in northern part of China, we have this one. It is not actually a turtle. The turtle is like this, but with a snake on it. We call it a 玄武.
Xianwu.
Yes. So these are four secret animals. Yes, you are right. Divine animals. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Marina has a question. I have a question about a food. Marina, what is your question is? Ya Yang Mai on the Chinese dish? Sorry, Marina, I don't know. Ya Yang Mai on? What is that? I don't know that. Thank you, everyone. So if you have no question, you can leave the meeting room here, and then we'll see next lecture. We'll see next week. Thank you all for attending the lecture. And I gonna do the question of Marina. Marina, I gonna search it online. I don't know that actually. I gonna see. So have a nice day, everyone. Have a
Bye
nice
bye.
day. Bye bye.
Bye
But
bye.
I try to.
Oh,
Okay, bye
what?
bye. I try to search for the information because Marina has got a question here. I don't know this word. Marina asked me one question that is Yayang a Chinese dish? You know, I don't know this name actually, so I need to search it here. Let me search for that, Marina. Yayang I don't know what is that. Yayang. No, I believe Marina, I don't know whether you are still here or not, but I believe this one is not actually a Chinese traditional food because I have never heard of that. Uh, let me search for that. Okay, I see that. Uh, oh, I see. Okay. Marina, here I got some introductions here. It's actually from South Korea, so it's not a Chinese traditional dish. Okay. Uh, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your comment. Yes,
Okay.
Anna, you are right. It is actually from South